The COVID-19 pandemic has hit everyone on a worldwide scale. Businesses and life as we know it have now changed, and we must now cope and adapt to the new normal. The first cases of the virus hit Barbados in March 2020, forcing the island to go into a lockdown, which then led to the cancellation of the cropover season, causing many event promoters, drink suppliers, DJs, and many people who work in the industry to experience great loss. It is now 4 months after the initial lockdown, and Barbados has given enough leeway for social gatherings and events to start back once more. But what is it like to actually party in a pandemic? And how do people feel about events commencing and increasing during these times?
I don't think that people should be taking it as lightly to party, and even if they do party, how about do what you're supposed to do properly?
It's part of our culture, so he strongly believes that in any case, there's nothing wrong with holding parties or doing events. Just want you follow the correct procedures and follow the regulations and so on.
I'm not 100% confident that we will follow the protocols as a mass, but with an increased number of visitors and so on, and with the changing protocols recently, no.
Events will lighten up everybody. Everybody wouldn't be so pressured, everybody still feeling, everybody still have a birthday, celebrating. So that's okay.
Events can be seen as one of the things that contribute to the spreading and transmission of COVID-19. So we spoke with event coordinator Philip King, who is hosting an event at the end of October at Copacabana, to see what it is now like planning an event during a pandemic, what obstacles he would have faced, and why he believes events should still continue despite there being a worldwide pandemic.
I believe that it's a necessary release. People are kind of required to stay in home for lockdowns for 4 months at a time or what's not, and build up a level of anxiety again, uncertainty about their jobs. There's a lot of risk happening. So I think that if we don't provide some kind of release for people to go out and socialize and be human still, then we're not really living. I would say it adds a little extra anxiety because you're never too sure when the new lockdown is going to come in or the new restrictions on capacity or whatever. And there's a bunch of new requirements in terms of distancing and sanitizing and contact tracing. So it adds a new element that was not there before. I believe that events can still be very profitable. It just depends on the willingness of people to go outside, how scared people are at the time. But I would say that the safety is the utmost most important factor for us. We always make sure that we have a clear guideline of how much people we are allowed to have on our property, and then we encourage the use of masks, the use of sanitizer constantly throughout the event to minimize any kind of potential spread. So I think that safety plays a key role in every decision that we make, from the beginning planning of the event to the pricing to where we place it, and you can only do as much as you can.
We switched perspectives as we spoke to event coordinator and trade marketing supervisor for Massey Distribution's Wines and Spirits Department, Jonathan Bovell, to see how the cancellation of Cropover and other events affected business, as well as how it affected him as an event coordinator. Jonathan also shared his views as to why events should continue.
Usually, the numbers would bring profits, obviously, but with the numbers being cut down to 500, and then I think right now it's at 250. Unless you have a event catering specifically for those numbers, you will take a loss. Not work. With us helping people host events and what's not, we decided that in going forward, we would do less events, but the events we do, we will make them pop, like bigger. Being able to come back on and host parties, that's the highlight there, to know that you're helping out a lot of other families and stuff, man. Even if you just break even, at least you do good for that day.
After hearing from both Philip and Jonathan about their views on partying during a pandemic, we decided to get the view of someone in the medical field to see what their thoughts were in regards to partying during a pandemic.
As more information on COVID and the ways that we can mitigate it increases, include having events and whatnot. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it once you take into consideration the landscape of the COVID pandemic as it is in Barbados, in that most of our cases are imported when compared to any local spread. As of right now, I believe that the protocols that we have in place are the most practical and most effective protocols that we can implement, and they seem to have been working thus far. So I think that I'm pretty satisfied with the protocols as they exist at this point. But obviously, as our understanding of COVID changes, then there's also always the possibility of changing protocols as well.
Partying in a pandemic can be seen as an escape and a way for many to continue to make a living for themselves. People's opinions of this topic will vary. However, we must be responsible if we choose to party. It is not only ourselves that we must look out for, but others as well. The COVID-19 protocols are there for a reason, and therefore we must follow them as we try our best to learn and adapt to these new times.